Okay. So, hi, Mihai. Thank you for coming. Social impact entrepreneur and serial entrepreneur. You've been featured in 30 Under 30 in Forbes. You've been featured in CNN, CNBS, and Financial Times. So, we really appreciate you coming here and speaking with us about yourself, about your projects, and about blockchain and the state of the industry around financial technology.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and congratulations for this initiative. I think it's really useful. It's important for us to share as many things as we can about what we're doing and about real examples of applied blockchain technologies and applied technologies in our daily life. We strongly believe that a good technology is the one that solves a managerial problem and a real life problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, we consider ourselves in certain areas social impact entrepreneurs, because we are building with our technologies a real impact into a certain industry, either by disrupting the existing business models, either by, innovating a lot on the barriers of entry. And this is what we do with all of our products that are in our technology group.
I see. Before, if it's fine for you, before we get into the different products that you offer and the issues that the fintech industry and specifically the blockchain offering has at the moment, would you mind talking a bit about your background? What brought you to this industry? What made you want to solve problems in different industries to begin with? How did you become an entrepreneur?
I was just extremely curious.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was a child, my parents are professors, mathematics and informatics. Okay. So I was quite curious. I was always in a learning mode all the time. I was also a chess player, so it was quite interesting to see, the real challenges and real problems that you have to solve on the chessboard and how this translates into real solutions. So problem solving was one of the areas that I really have a real pleasure in exploring it, and also being extremely curious and always surrounded by professors and the academic world. I always wanted to kind of build projects that add value to the society. So I started by building a media company when I was 18.
Okay.
Then I built a cable distribution company and fiber optics that I sold when I was 24.
Where was this? In
Romania. Okay, I was born in Romania. I started everything over there. I built my initial teams over there and my initial startups. I still have some of them over there in various segments. But then I realized that, you can really make a significant change by innovating in the technology sector. So by working with over 200 clients on media and software in the last 12 years, we said to ourselves, look, it's nice to work for other clients, but I think we're really at the point where we kind of need to focus a bit and build our own products. So having software and also cybersecurity and also media and design expertise and marketing, we kind of had a great mix. We've teamed up with some initial investors. We put some of our own capital and we've incubated our first project, which was MoneyMailMe. Yeah. It's a social money transferring app, something like a Revolut. Everybody knows Revolut nowadays. We started from the same moment with the same office, actually, with Revolut in London.
You were sharing space. I heard that.
Yeah,
no? Yeah.
We were at the same. We started at TechCrunch Disrupt London. It was in December. I remember it. I was next to, the founder of Revolut. I was asking him, any clients on your table? No. What about you? Yeah, nobody's really interested.
It was the very, very beginning.
Yeah, the early stages, nobody really understood the need for this kind of new consumer behavior, to communicate through small amounts of money that you exchange in your peer groups. And, now we look at all of these fintech startups as challenger banks or neo banks. So we started in the same area. We incubated the project. We delivered it. We've incorporated the headquarters in London. We started as a London company. We've grew over there. Now we have today over 150,000 clients in over 100 countries. We have transactions every day. We are combining the social interaction, which is chat, video calls, audio calls, with money transfers. So we are seen as a WhatsApp with money transfer. and we also issue a virtual card and a prepaid card with MasterCard or MasterCard program directors in the UK, because we had internally some real deep expertise in core banking infrastructure. We have.
How have you gathered? Sorry to interrupt you. How have you gathered this expertise? Because you said when you were 18, you developed a media company. When you were 24, you developed a company around fiber optic and telecommunications. Then how you made the jump from that into the banking industry and then financial industry?
The software company I created when I was 19. So in the same time because our clients have complex needs, they wanted like the software side, and I also wanted the media and branding. So they wanted products. That's why I learned a lot from working with clients, that it's not about the technology or just about the marketing, it's about the product, the overall product. So as you know, good marketing kills a bad product. So we've identified a way that even if you have money to market a product, if the product is not really good, you're still going to fail. So we developed a core expertise in building functional products in various industries and thinking from A to Z, about the whole story. So that was extremely interesting, and we've managed to get a very good team next to us, because guys that were working for other companies in like small subsections of products, now they had the chance to work in like from A to Z, from real products in various industries, especially in the banking industry. So how I got them excited about this, I got them extremely involved in the product, and I managed to get only the top talents. So when you see that your team is formed out of extremely good engineers or experienced guys in this field, you really feel that you're somebody in the team. The product is motivating you because it's the highest level of technology that it's out there. So, we've managed to get guys from Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, Temenos, JP Morgan and Western Union, Societe Generale, and some other bigger banks. So we've managed to grow to a team of 60 today, plus advisors were about 80 in our whole organization. We operate in Bucharest, London. We are just going to open an office now in Palo Alto in Silicon Valley, and for sure Gibraltar. So again, you need to play the competitive advantage when you want to build a product, and you need to look at a business, a product that becomes a real business, and to apply innovation in a way that it solves a real problem, but it also generates income. Because in my perspective, innovation is the ability to transform good ideas into invoices.
Yeah, so it's good.
Not in the products. So you need to pass by the product level and to have like a investable project or an acquirable project.
So just because this is a curiosity of mine, you said that you're very product centric in terms of strategy, in terms of development. Do you think that's a different approach than being more customer centric, for example, or do you think one is actually the consequence of the other? So
it's clearly like that. One is the consequence of the other. I mean, if you can be consumer centric, but the product needs to have that built into. So if you're product centric in the sense you feel what your consumers want, or more important, the best products that are in the market were never built on that actual verbalized demand of a client. Because even Steve Jobs said that, if you start building a product based on what the market wants now, by the time you're going to finish it, the market is going to demand something a different new, kind of product. So that's the thing, the same situation with Revolut. We were ahead of our time at that point. So it was just a race of who survives in the next years.
I see.
Until the adoption was there. If we remember, there were so many other companies even better than YouTube. But because they didn't have the broadband and you could not really watch a movie, that's when YouTube came 2 years after, and it was the perfect timing. So timing, consumer understanding, consumer trends prediction, because you need to kind of predict where the industry is going. And, learning from the fintech side with MoneyMailMe, learning from all the hundreds of projects that we've built with our clients, we've kind of like refined all of our experience and the real expertise of the team into our flagship product, which is Modex today.
Yeah.
So we've kind of like tested a lot of assumptions. We went back and forth with the product, with the team, with the strategy, with the client understanding. So we said, why don't we make a bet on where blockchain will be in the next years?
I'm glad that you brought up blockchain, because that's what I wanted to ask you next. So we said that it's very important to convert ideas into invoices, right? And
Yes.
that the product is vital. The quality of the product is vital in doing that. And we said that customer needs, let's say, being consumer centric and being product centric is one the consequence of the other, correct? So in developing Modex, did you have any particular problem in mind that
Yes.
was okay? Can you expand on that?
We had two areas that we were really analyzing. We looked first on the blockchain adoption side. So the first problem that we try to solve is the barrier of entry in this field for developers. There are 32 million developers out there, and only 30,000 are fluent in Ethereum, Solidity, or blockchain development.
So it's a not lack of skill, perhaps that's not a good word, but it involves skill. It involves knowledge. Let's say knowledge based on how to develop blockchain.
You would think it's like that, but actually it's not. It's about access to tools.
Okay.
Developers are used by all the other programming languages with clear access to tools. Their only effort is not on setting up their environment. Their only effort is being focused on real building something with those tools.
Okay.
While in blockchain until now, you had like tools spread out. Mm-hmm. You had a very significant barrier of entry because developers are lazy, but lazy not with their work. They're lazy with setting up all their tools. Okay. So the moment you put all their tools together, they're willing to put even more time in really producing significant work in this field. And we've seen that with Modex. The moment we launched a unified developer ecosystem with all the tools that they need for free, including an auditing tool, for them it was so easy to just come and play with the tools, understand very well how blockchain works. And they came from like normal programming languages background or like pure programming logic. And they immediately got accustomed with what blockchain means and how this infrastructure works and how Ethereum works, what is a dApp, what is a smart contract. So we de-risked their initial entry in this field. They still study at different universities. They still have their normal jobs. But because all the tools are available, now they can just go and play with the tools and they can build significant dApps or smart contracts for the marketplace and also monetize their skills. So that was our initial strategy, to kind of like build all the tools that developers need, to build a marketplace where they can express, and to build like an ecosystem for the Solidity developers. Our target was to reconvert from those 32 million that are out there and to have as many as possible from students. We make partnerships with developer communities, with universities. So we wanted to have them like de-risked with a de-risk entry in this field.
So that's how you centralize development, but how do you centralize consumption of blockchain-based products?
Yeah, there are two areas here. So there's one particular area where companies want to interact with blockchain infrastructures, kind of like to understand what would be the advantages for their product, for their business, and have the first step into this kind of world or this kind of new technology. And there they work with consultants or they work with small dev shops. So they prototype different things. And then you have the big companies that are building their own internal infrastructures, like big banks, for example, BNI Mellon, who for the last 3 years, they've been building their own ecosystem, a private blockchain, and they have like banks part of that. And they are solving a big problem in the settlement and post-settlement process. Mm-hmm. So you have like huge project like this. How do we solve that? And the third category is with developers, because developers are also consuming this technology in the sense that they're interested to explore dApps, to build on top of dApps applications in their areas. We see a lot of young students or a lot of young entrepreneurs who are building their new businesses on top of the smart contracts that are available for sale in our marketplace.
So a layered approach.
Exactly, layered approach. So we said, okay, great, it's interesting, but the two other categories, the medium and the big size one, those guys have to build their own infrastructures. So you're looking at millions in expenditures, you're looking at huge development times. And we said, okay, what's the biggest managerial problem that we can solve with Modex? So we look at all the other technologies that are being introduced in a company, like email, you use it as a service.
Yeah.
Hosting, you use it as a service. Cybersecurity, you use it as a service. Accounting company, use them as a service. Invoicing services, use them as a service. But blockchain was still the only technology that you have to build internally.
So it's a product. So yeah, because what you said, also a lot of software used in the creative industry for software for editing audio, video, to create video games. They're all service. You pay like monthly subscription.
You pay monthly subscription and you pay per use. You don't build your own Photoshop.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's very inefficient.
So in this case, since we're in the early stage of blockchain adoption, the only way from which you can benefit from the real applications of blockchain was to actually build your own infrastructure. Well, we said, look, there's a clear gap, there's a clear niche over here. We need to immediately prototype an infrastructure. So we looked at another managerial problem, which is the decision-making process in every company.
Okay.
So you look at the CTO, and the CTO is looking at blockchain like a nice to have, like a vitamin.
Like a feature, yeah. It's very flashy now.
Yeah. So we wanted to transform it from a vitamin to an aspirin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this was our approach. We wanted to make it affordable. We wanted to de-risk, again, like we de-risk the developers to enter in this field. We want to de-risk CTOs to enter in this field. So we've built an infrastructure that is database agnostic, that is protocol agnostic. It's a middle hybrid layer that allows any CTO to connect to a private blockchain through an API.
Okay.
So basically, they take the API, they integrate it in their existing infrastructure. They don't need to change anything internally. And they have all the advantages of storing their data on a private blockchain. So we are building, in this case, a auditable internal ledger. Because at the end of the day, blockchain is just a technology that sits behind a real application. And the real application, why CTOs or why CEOs or why entrepreneurs want to have blockchain implemented in their business? Because they want data integrity, they want data immutability, they want like full cybersecurity protection, and they want different kind of innovation in the business model by sharing data without showing everything that they have. So you're looking at the advantages. So basically, you don't need to own that. It's the Uberification basically
That's what
of a blockchain infrastructure.
It's a module-based approach. So they can take your API, integrate it in their system.
Exactly.
They can take an API of a external cybersecurity provider and integrate it. So it's about putting together the right pieces of the puzzle, right?
Exactly. Instead of building the pieces of the puzzle. So we looked at that approach. We tested, we prototyped that. We launched the infrastructure 1 year ahead of the schedule. And we started to implement with the first clients. And we have a global rollout at the end of June. So we will just like start implementing through service integrators and value-added resellers all over the world. The pricing is extremely affordable. So you pay per write. You pay per what you write in the private blockchain. So you may have a huge database, but you don't want to synchronize everything. You just want 10 fields in a database to be synchronized on a private blockchain.
I see.
So you just write the connectors from your database with our middle layer.
I see.
And you have all the advantages on that specific set of data.
Would you be able also, because you mentioned that CTOs and companies want blockchain because of, for example, the data integrity, the security of it, and the transparency, and so on and so forth. Do you also provide different products which are approachable for a CTO? So I'll give you an example because this question is becoming long. So are you familiar with Moneybox? No. It's an application that allows any person to invest spare change, okay? But and it does so based on different risk exposures. Now, when I started putting some funds in it, I wasn't really aware on how to evaluate risk and, based on the type of commodity or asset one was trading. And they made it very easy. It's very, very easy. It's graphical. It's people without any financial knowledge can get some form of access to investing, let's say. So how does Modex render blockchain approachable and customizable for CTOs? So
that's a perfect analogy to what we do, in the sense that if you remember well, we have the development ecosystem where we train developers, where we offer them the tools, where we post bounties, where we post challenges for them, or when a CTO of a company can say, I want this kind of application built for me. I want this kind of risk assessment application. And they just post a bounty on the platform, and you may end up with a developer from a different part of the world who builds it up for you on top of our ecosystem in just hours.
Yeah.
So on the blockchain as database, on the API side, you may end up with the developers from the first side, from the marketplace and from the dev community, that are building applications on top of that.
I see.
So they can take the API, they take the license, and they build the application layer on top of what we do.
I see.
And they build a new startup based on that. For example, you can track public spending. You can track, the news in your community. And you can put all of them in the private blockchain like this, and you can store the data like that. Or you can track, for example, we're talking with sensor companies, insurance companies, meat industry. Yeah, there are various use cases that can be built on top of what we do. We have a financial regulator that is going to use our technology and the API to have a clear reporting system with the companies that are reporting manually today to them as a financial authority.
Are you able to disclose who's the financial regulator?
Not yet.
Okay.
But it's a very important one. Now all the companies report manually, while here you put a node in each of the companies, and the databases are synchronized in real time with the regulator. So for any kind of reporting tool, that's a perfect use case. So this is exactly what we want. We want to offer the core technology for that any CTO or any entrepreneur or any visionary in this space can shape a product on top of it. And that's exactly our goal, to become an enabler for blockchain development. We want to simplify, we want to give clear access to the core technology so that any CTO or any entrepreneur in the world can, help on making blockchain really affordable and mainstream. Because I really think that in the near future, we won't talk about blockchain anymore. Blockchain will just become an invisible technology in the back end.
So like the internet for apps, for example, you don't say, there is this application that works on the internet.
Yes, exactly.
So there is an app like Uber, for example.
Exactly.
Take it from here to there, yeah.
The end client wants a wow moment.
Yeah.
The wow moment at Uber, you press a button, you take out your phone, you press a button and the car comes.
Yeah.
That's the wow moment. So we should have reverse engineer that wow moment in the blockchain space and see what we want. For example, I was discussing with one journalist who said, look, we have a problem in Europe and around the world with fake diplomas. Yes.
Okay, education titles.
Titles. You cannot check that. Some guy comes with a diploma, you cannot check that it's actually a real diploma. What do? You call the university?
Yeah.
Well, he said, I want to build a dApp that is built on top of your technology that forces all the universities to give direct access to their diploma numbers.
I see.
So I want to be the first place to go where you want to check the serial number of a diploma. Either it's university, either it's like MBA or... So I said, that's a great project. Then you won't have any... Because if that information, when the diploma is issued, is written in a private blockchain, if that information is timestamped and immutable, any employer or any partner or anyone can check. So see, here we're not talking about the pure technical approach of blockchain. We're talking about the mainstream adoption and a real use case. At the end of the day, what's the wow moment? That the guy in front of you shows you his diploma and you can check immediately if it's real or not.
The authenticity of it,
You won't even ask, is it really, reliable, this piece of technology? It is, because it's based on top of a blockchain infrastructure and it's immutable.
But see, you said twice now, immutable. Now, I work a little bit in data protection. So you have this right, which is afforded by the General Data Protection Regulation, the right to be forgotten, which, has been quite, it had its own space in the news, with issues at Google, issues at Facebook, people not being able to take uncomfortable data, which is on the internet, off the internet, and that causes sometimes repercussion on their, for example, ability to secure a job, or simply information that people deem private and sensitive, which is just out there and they cannot take it back, even with this right. And then we have a technology on the other side, like blockchain, which revolves around the immutability of the database. Now, I'm familiar with the fact that there are some solutions such as cold storage and encryption, or cold storage maybe and anonymity. But going beyond the technical solution, it seems like there is a clash of purpose, at least to an untrained eye.
We are passing from an internet of numbers, of data, to an internet of value. So this is the shift in the whole industry. With blockchain, you will be able to own your data. And own your data in the sense that you will be able to verify who accesses your data. The right to be forgotten, in this case, would be the right to be accessed.
Okay.
So technically, you own your data and you select the third parties, the partners, the individuals that have access to read parts of your data or full data.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, you will be able, not tomorrow, but in the near future, you'll be able to own your data from all your medical records. We're actually working with one of the most innovative healthcare companies in the US, and we're building an infrastructure for them, which is exactly related to data ownership for the medical industry. It's a very innovative product that allows you to own your medical records. Yes, so they're yours. If a medical company wants to access your data, they need to pay something for that, and you need to agree. If you
for
want.
Like research, marketing purposes. Okay,
because now they use our data however they want. Okay, it's anonymous, but still, it's your data.
I see. But how would that work? Would you have the keys to your...
Exactly. It's a private key. It's a private key that you own. Yes. Okay. Either it can be a cold storage or on your phone directly. So the moment, you go to a doctor, you have a scan, that information is yours. Yeah. You decide to give access to the doctor. So the doctor has a read permission on your X-ray because you gave it to him. And that's based on your setup, because I can say, okay, any doctor can have access anytime to read my data.
Okay.
So if you're a doctor, registered doctor, you are allowed to read the data. And if you're producing vitamins, for example, and you want to have access to my data, maybe I never allow you, or I put $1,000 if you want to access my data. Some companies will pay or not. But we're going to see that being implemented. The same with the data ownership of your public post. You post on Facebook, you post on Instagram.
Yeah. So friends can see it, or the whole internet. Yeah.
Exactly. So if a third party wants to access, you get a notification. There's a third party, like a research company or a marketing company, that wants to access your data pool. Do you want to give access or not? And if you say yes, then okay, it's a simple situation like it is today. But at least you are asked and you are aware who's using your data and for which purpose.
And you can take it, I guess, you can take the permission back at any point, I guess.
Exactly. Depends how you structure it.
Depends, of course, by the contract.
How you structure the deal, but this would be the future. And Facebook is going into that direction. They are exploring a lot the blockchain technologies. for data security. Google also is going in that direction, and if these big boys are setting the trend, it's just a matter of time until we'll see actually a clear data ownership.
So that is the social impact, or at least part of the social impact of the blockchain. I mean,
it can be considered. It can be considered because it allows, real privacy, and it allows you to control who's accessing your data. We're not there yet. We'll be there in the next maybe 10 years. But actually, the real social impact is the fact that you get access and you can protect yourself. So in a sense, you can be socially included in some other areas that until now wouldn't allow you to be part of. So for example, if you have a pattern on your profile that says you belong to a group like this, maybe you're a young African entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But because your profile is designed in a way that, given the informations that are in your profile, you fit into a social impact 19-year-old aspiring technology entrepreneur, automatically that matches you with so many other entrepreneurs that fit the same profile.
I see. Okay.
You wouldn't be able to access it normally because you need to do a lot of research to flag them, to see where they are. But with a technology like this, you have immediately access to connect with them. So this can lead to real interactions and to your inclusion into certain groups that now it's, you need to find them, you need to ask for access.
Yeah.
So because you can control, blockchain technology allows you to show without sharing. So I can show you that I'm like that, but I won't share all of the things that led me to that conclusion. So for example, you're an experienced chef. That's the only thing that should go out there. Not the fact that you went to that school or you train yourself at home.
I see.
So that's the thing. You just want the outcome. Yes, so I'm a chef. Yes, I am. Okay.
Do you think blockchain could aid in fighting discrimination thanks to this?
I think so, yes. I'm a firm believer in that because it will allow you to align with other peers in your same category and access certain tasks or certain jobs. For example, now with our marketplace, we see a 16-year-old Indonesian developer who doesn't even have a visa to travel to Europe, who's now working for companies. We've seen an Austrian developer who's working for the biggest entertainment Malaysian company that's posted a bounty on our platform. Those guys would never have met, so it's a way for them to kind of work and deliver.
To connect between us.
To connect without you need to travel there, you need to have a contract, you need to have the best contract that you can have. It's the smart contract in the platform that allows you to be paid per what you work on. So, we see this as a huge opportunity to financially include, but also include in the work
geographical sense.
Exactly, because there's no boundaries right now. The smart contracts are self-executable. You can post something over there and, it just...
So another aspect which is interesting in your product is the fact that because the end customer adopts the product through an API in the form of a service, there are no cut around remuneration for those that have developed the product, correct?
Exactly.
So that also ensures that developers on your platform are rewarded. So in a way, it solves also an intellectual property issue in a way. So by purchasing, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, by purchasing the service or the product on your platform, the developer would grant the license and at the same time ensure that his right to income is met. Correct?
Exactly.
Without having to enforce it himself.
Exactly. That's why we've built a duplicate analysis tool in the marketplace, so that if somebody takes the code of one of your smart contracts or decompiles the code or just take it from GitHub.
So that's for the layered approach, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay. We immediately identified as a duplicate analysis through the duplicate analysis that the smart contract is 95% copied from another one.
I see.
So you cannot post it on the marketplace. It needs to be proprietary code.
And that works because the language, I guess, on the Modex platform is one, correct?
Yes,
so
exactly.
You cannot convert it. You cannot.
No, we work on Solidity. So this is the only language, but you have tools right now, so you can check the code.
I see. Also, if it's converted, because I remember when I was looking at intellectual property, issues surrounding intellectual property in software, is that one person can take most of your software, rewrite it in a different way with a different code, and get away with it. But because of these tools now,
you can see the pattern is the same for sure. If there are so many changes, and if completely rechange, the thing with the smart contract is that it's not a lengthy code. Okay. So instead of just modifying an existing smart contract and finding ways in which you can copy that, it's you might as well start it from zero and just build the logic behind it by itself.
I see.
So that's the time. If you're talking about a huge infrastructure database, you find the code. Mm-hmm. Even Oracle code is open source, so you can start building on that. But at the end of the day, you need to spend time on the real added value, not on all the small
gimmicks,
changes, the gimmicks. Because at the end of the day, clients will immediately see that. So you really need to come up with a proprietary product and with real added value.
That solves an issue, rather.
Yeah, and we see so many applications. I mean, if you look now on our marketplace, you get from dice betting dApps to whatever, applications that can verify the access in a building, to various applications, because there are so many applications that we don't even think about, and developers from all over the world work on that. And the beauty of a community is that you have a telco project that you want to outsource on the marketplace, or you want to post as a bounty, and you may end up with a developer from the other side of the world who works for a telco company and is researching that thing for years, and he immediately gives you a solution on that.
I see. Yeah, so it's support.
It's support. So immediately, you can start building something like this with extremely low cost.
I see.
And most of the projects that are posted for sale in the marketplace are free. So you can just start playing with different applications, or you can apply for a Modex grant. If you're a new entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur that is exploring blockchain in donations, for example.
Okay, charity. So for charity purposes.
Exactly. You can go there and say, look, this is what I do. This is what I plan to do. This is my use case. I don't have money to develop this. I would love to get some support because I really want to push this decentralized application into my small community. Great. We give you a grant, which is 10,000 Modex tokens, 3 hours of support, free publishing on the marketplace and promotion of your project. So we incubate the project. So we help you structure the bounty, so you can post it on the marketplace, and then you end up with one developer building that for you.
Do you host any form of reverse bounty? So, for example, let's say I'm a developer, and as you just mentioned, I have no money, and I need funds not only to develop the product, but also to live, let's say, to dedicate my time entirely to the development of the smart contract. And my idea is good, but I'm looking for an investor. Are you implementing it right now, like an inverse bounty, so that the developer can propose the project and then an investor can invest in that project, or not?
We're not there yet. Okay. I mean, it's very relative because, then you're kind of like matchmaking investment opportunities. So
I see.
It's a different area. It's a regulated area. If you propose a project, then you kind of like need to vet what is over there. So we prefer to leave that part of the business for other guys. But we do that quite regularly offline. So we see teams that need support, and sometimes we invest in them, or sometimes we refer them. We introduce them to active groups of investors that are clearly looking in a segment. So that's quite interesting to see that after introduction they really build something together. But it's not our business, and we don't want to go into that. We just want to be an enabler for developments, enabler for the first segment, which is the developers entering this field, and also for companies having access easy as a service to this kind of infrastructure.
So encourage access and create a community of developers that is able to accommodate the needs of the businesses.
Exactly. But again, coming back to what I said earlier, we strongly believe that a good technology is the one that solves a real managerial problem or an entrepreneurial problem. So here in this space, we just wanted to kind of like offer all the tools that simplify the access to that.
I see. And as a last question, or maybe last before last, I'm curious, why Gibraltar? What brought you here? Yes, we are regulated. There are some competitors in terms of jurisdiction that are starting to regulate the space. There aren't many yet, that's true. But what brought you to Gibraltar? Why did you choose this jurisdiction for your blockchain business and to secure a license as a fintech activity?
Yeah, we really look at ecosystems and functional ecosystems. For example, when we were looking at developers, we're looking at Romania, London, and the jurisdictions that we have access to, and we really identify a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
When we're looking for investments, we're looking at the US, for example. There's a developed ecosystem over there. So we want to kind of like connect the puzzle pieces by looking at real competitive advantages of a certain area. And when we wanted to build basically a blockchain project, we looked at Gibraltar as the number one and by far the leader in this space for providing an ecosystem in that space. So we wanted the flexibility to build a product and to iterate. We wanted to have the certification of a real financial authority that authentifies that what you do is for real and it's auditable and it's valid. So for us, it was important to get, since we have a very good team, we have a robust project, and we have institutional investors looking at us right now, it was important to come in an area where we kind of like co-brand ourselves and we help together build that ecosystems.
I see.
Because we're one of the first players here, we were very happy to work and see this community being developed. And for us, Gibraltar, since we're based in London, Gibraltar was a very natural step, not because it's close, because it's real functional, and because it solves a lot of our managerial like challenges in building and scaling up an innovative product in a very new industry. So Gibraltar has managed to create a very functional ecosystem, from the accounting side to the legal support to the regulators to the banking partners. It's a functional ecosystem, and we again, just like the problems that we're trying to solve for developers, we want the tools to be easily available so that they can focus on the real value add. For the CTOs and the companies, we want the tools to be available and the cost to be affordable for them to focus on the real advantages. So we kind of like resonate with that functional ecosystem thesis. We identified it here. We collaborated very well with all the stakeholders involved in this. And we think it's by far the best jurisdiction that we can operate it. And to be honest, we're in the position where we can afford to go in any jurisdiction that we want. But it's uncomparable, and because here it's functional, it's not perfect, but it's done.
Yeah.
Compared to other jurisdictions that promise perfection when they have not provided any clear solution. Exactly. And for us, iterating so fast, it was impossible. It was very important to be,
supported by a regulatory framework, no?
Exactly. Because, to be honest, the looking also from the investor's perspective, when you look at the framework and you look at the substance in all the regulatory like conditions, if those were in place in so many other jurisdictions, 99% of the frauds in this industry would never have happened.
Yeah, which is a major fear, especially after the hype in 2017 and early 2018. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mihai, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. And we hope to host you again very soon and to talk about how Modex has implemented the mission that is very much your mission right now, and how Modex has made blockchain accessible to everyone and promoted a universal implementation of it.
Yes, and I want to see you guys at episode number 100 very fast.
Hopefully.
Congrats for the initiative.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.